There you go.
Okay, now that we all know.
I mean, we just want to make sure it's being recorded because we want to upload it afterwards and make it available. But first of all, let's welcome our guests. Let's welcome everybody who's joining to another exciting Startup Grind virtual event. Before we kick things off, we will quickly show a short intro video, then introduce everyone to our Startup Grind community, which is definitely very international this evening, and obviously to our sponsors, partners, and to our speakers.
At one point, I really realized I want to be surrounded by people who really want to change something. Entrepreneurs, community builders, people who really want to move something around.
It's truly an amazing experience. For me, it was really a good entry point to enter the startup world. So my background is in finance and investing. I went to the Europe conference in London and then attended my first global conference last year and this year again. I met so many interesting people. If you have any hesitations, you truly need to get connected in your local chapter.
Basically what we do is try to reach for the best speaker possible that will allow founders to learn. You have to meet a lot of people and you have to create a real connection with those people, focusing on adding value to their lives, but also in learning and helping them in every way you can and to scale faster.
Startup Grind gave me the opportunity to really achieve that. So now I'm running one of the most active chapters in China and in the world. And I am on a daily basis meeting so amazing people, entrepreneurs, investors, corporates. I'm really grateful being part of this amazing community.
San Francisco,
Lagos,
New York City,
Dubai,
Dublin,
Oakland,
China.
Well, and obviously Berlin and everyone in the world, because it's really amazing. It's not only a special event tonight where we celebrate SG Virtual, but also in the whole month of May, it's SG Women's Month. We celebrate the accomplishments of amazing female leaders, female founders, investors, everyone in our community. And we're very excited to have Derya and Claudia tonight with us. Just to give you a bit of a briefing, what's going to happen tonight. So we're just kicking it off, giving you also an introduction to our partners and sponsors. We do our panel discussion, and then afterwards you have the chance to answer your questions either directly. So we give you the voice, you can unmute yourself during the chat, you will be muted. You can turn on your video, that's really up to you. And yeah, feel free to just post your questions in the chat. In the meantime, we can also address them during the chat. As I said, the microphones are muted. Please keep it quiet, but afterwards in the Q&A, you're more than welcome to share whatever you want to share. Give a shout out, whatever you are building with no code. We definitely want to hear from you. Also, yeah, as I said, the video is being recorded. We're going to upload it afterwards to YouTube. So if there are any golden nuggets that you want to dive into afterwards, or the resources that will be shared, you can always go back to it.
Yeah, so thank you, Mareike, and also a warm welcome from my side. Actually, what is Startup Grind all about? I think it's a fantastic slide just because of the picture. And I mean, we mentioned it earlier, but right now, I mean, Startup Grind is actually located in more than 600 cities around the world. So it's like for us always fantastic just to see all the chapters growing. And really for us, Startup Grind is all about this global community, all about like all the inspiring personalities we meet in our monthly events. But obviously, it is also about all of you. And this time, obviously, not only our community from Berlin, but also people who just dialed in from elsewhere in the world, which is great. And yeah, I mean, Startup Grind actually is today the biggest startup community, but it all started back in 2010 in Silicon Valley. And actually the vision behind like the whole chapters are to really just bring people together, make them learn from each other, connect, and actually just get some inspiration, right? And yeah, so I know chapter, at which stage you are. Like our team, here you can see a snapshot of it. We obviously want to support you, and happily it's not only Mareike and me, but we also want to say thank you to Eva, Martina, Monika, Marine, Suresh, and Jung for all your support. If you yourself want to get like active at Startup Grind at any chapter, just let us know. As I said, it's always cool to see or to get some new members for our communities. And yeah, building, I mean, such a great community is not only possible with great team members, but also with great partners. And here we have lovely Sebastian, I can picture on the slide. So Sebastian, as always, from BMH Bräutigam. So Sebastian, you can also unmute yourself and yeah, maybe just introduce yourself as well to the community.
Yeah, actually, that picture was from the pre-corona time, so before home office became standard. So please apologize my looks. No, just joking. Yeah, thank you, Verena and Mareike, for hosting this event again. And yeah, just 1-2 sentences to BMH, the law firm I'm working for. We are a Berlin-based law firm with a strong focus on venture. So we do all kinds of advice around financing rounds, VSOPs, yeah, incentives from a startup, but also from an investor perspective. So yeah, that's our daily business. If you get started and need to get some legal traction, can reach out to us anytime. Yeah, and that's it. Now looking forward to this event.
Sounds great. Thank you, Sebastian. And also shout out to the team of Soldo and also AWS. So we are also always looking for some topics for new workshops. I mean, this can be with BMH. So in the past, we had a lot of like legal workshops, but we are also, like looking or open for other topics. So if you have something in mind, pin us a message, right? Or like just write us, and we are happy to incorporate also your ideas. Yeah, and female leaders month.
I was about to say, yeah, it's like female power, like even like from like Startup Grind leadership perspective, so to say. And also we have Sarah with us tonight because like the very special month of May is this year supported by Google for Startups and the Silicon Valley Bank. So very much appreciated also Sarah to join us from New York now. Yeah, why don't you introduce yourselves and the activities that you do with the startup community?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you for having us. So hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Rona. I'm part of the Global Gateway team at SVB, Silicon Valley Bank. We cover international markets where we don't have a physical presence in. My team's currently focusing on Latin America, UAE, India, Australia, New Zealand, and I'm head of Australia and New Zealand. We service US dollar banking needs for clients and their cross-border entities. So as they plan their expansion into the US, we really help them bridge that gap. So it's everything from helping them with venture debt to connecting them with law firms, service providers, everything that they need to really move to the US. And just a little bit of background on SVB, since I'm not sure if most of you guys are familiar with the bank, but the bank started as a venture-backed startup over 37 years ago. We exclusively focus on tech and we tailor our products and services for the innovation economy. We bank over 50% of all venture-backed companies in the US and 2/3 of the VCs that finance those companies. And right now we've got an international presence and have offices in Germany, in Denmark, Israel, China, and Canada. And a little bit more on our access to innovation program. So we really try to be a catalyst for good in our sector. We really aim to build a more diverse, equitable, and accessible innovation economy for all. Right now, we're doing this in a variety of ways. So these are in no particular order, but I felt like I needed to share these. So we have client success enablement efforts focusing on creating new ways of supporting underrepresented founders and investors. We invest in companies and funds that are led or owned by underrepresented people. We create educational and job opportunities for emerging talent. We're currently, providing grants and making connections for Black, Latinx, and women founders and investors. So obviously super happy to partner on this initiative and event. And then we also help foster diversity and gender parity in leadership positions through professional development and networking. These are some of our key initiatives that we're working with right now, but obviously there's just so much more that we're trying to drive. And yeah, so this is a really great event. Happy to be part of it and happy to celebrate amazing women across the innovation ecosystem and across the world. I know there's people on this call from so many different places. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That sounds amazing. And all the women out there who just watch this, hear this, just get engaged, reach out to Sarah.
Sarah, I'm here. Any questions?
Yeah, if you open, even drop in your email into the chat box if people can get connected, or what's the best way to reach out to you.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thanks for being part of this evening. And now, last but not least, and let's come to the most exciting part of the evening with our panel with Derya and Claudia. But let me stop sharing my screen so we can see each other.
And one fun fact, actually 1 year ago, our headline was, is the future of code no code? And we already had like a similar topic with 3 men, with Vlad from Zero Code, Tom from MakerPad, and Michael actually from Brighter. And the funny thing was we actually got 2 responses to this evening. One is, like, this topic is amazing. I want to have more of this. Okay. And the second one was, why are there just male people in that space? So can you please also invite some girls? So we said, well, that's now a great time, SG Women Month, right? To have you, Claudia and Derya. So yeah, I mean, let's kick things off. Maybe you could just start and introduce yourselves and give the audience a little bit of your great backgrounds, right?
Hello, everyone. I'll start then. My name is Derya Sousa, and I'm joining today from Dublin, Ireland this evening. And I'm the co-founder of a no-code business process automation and application development platform, which is Kianda. So when we started this 4 years ago. Personally, my background is in IT. So I worked in different companies, different industries in IT departments. And I've seen how challenging it can be when it comes to creating business software. I've seen projects failing, multi-year projects failing, unfortunately. So from the beginning, we have seen a gap in the market that enterprise applications, business applications, development of these mostly were relying on software developers, IT teams, heavily creating workload on these teams, and the delivery of these systems were taking too long and they were quite costly. So that's how we started. We wanted to have a new, hi Tiffany, I see she's in Ireland as well. So we have seen, we want to fill this gap. We wanted to enable people with, regardless of their programming skills, being able to create solutions, being able to be part of a technology that's being created in the businesses. That's how we started. We are in the market more than 3 years now. Up until now, we have grown organically. This year, we started some conversations with VCs. So we have customers across the globe. And we are moving from startup to scale-up stage this year. And we are tripling our team and growing our customer base.
Oh,
amazing. I mean, we're going to dive into the whole growth journey in a second, but let's also hear from Claudia a bit about your background and what you are building.
Thank you. And I'm Claudia. Great to meet you all here. And I'm happy to join.
Yeah. Is it just me or is Claudia?
No, I think Claudia, I think you're cutting off a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we were just losing you. Can you maybe just repeat what you were saying? I think the connection just got cut off. No, we're speaking about.
We have to say she's dialing in from Hong Kong, right? So, which actually should mean that the internet is way better than in Germany.
Is it better?
It's always when someone's presenting, it works fine until you have to present, and then it just goes off.
Did you guys hear me and see me clearly?
Now,
this time?
you are back. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, good. I'm back. Do I need to start from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm Claudia from ChatParse.AI. So I'm the founder of ChatParse.AI. My background is also from engineering. So I am actually a computer science student at the beginning. And then I have my own startup and build my own products and platforms. And now I work on a product called ChatParse.AI, which is simply like when you need an AI, you always know you need a lot of data to train the model, but not everybody have those data. For example, when I work on my previous product, I want to just detect whether those business communications means yes or no. But people don't just say yes or no in business email. They say that, maybe next time, or maybe, I would love to, but I need to ask my manager or something like that. So you know it's a no. But the AI is so stupid right now. They always say, it means yes, you just go ahead. So if you want to plug into the automation in the current no-code automation, for example, you're using Zapier to auto-answer some message for you, and you detect the customer whether they are saying the response is like yes or no, and then depending on the response, you're going to give some feedback to that and have some follow-up actions on that. If you detect that wrong, then it will be very serious because the whole automation flow is already distorted in this way. So we're really working on the AI part of the whole no-code automation so that people can actually use our component to actually do some automation on communication. And right now we have some clients over the world because it's a SaaS product, but this is only our second product. Our first product actually moved to the enterprise sales already. So it's called Chat Campaign, which is a drag and drop chat flow builder. And that one is more sophisticated. ChatParse is relatively new, but ChatParse is also more closer to the no-code community. And I'm happy to share more about it, about how it can, if you guys are interested about how it can actual use case that can use these components to build your own stuff and then push into the world to make money, then I'm more than happy to share.
That sounds great. And maybe also just for those, like who are joining or who are pretty new to the whole no-code space, could you also, like just define in your words what is actually no-code all about? So what founders out there can, or like generally, like what can people expect from this development?
I think the no-code movement is actually from the needs of the makers that they want to make money, but at the same time, they don't have coding skill. So because all softwares are no-code, they have already built code for you. So theoretically, they are all no-code. But why there's a no-code movement is because there's such a need. So for example, I won't classify the enterprise software as no-code, but I would classify a software that enable people to build their own software a no-code. For example, Zapier, Enablement, Bubble, that kind of softwares. And also Substack is also a very good no-code. You can just publish content and then you get money from it. I think it's really cool that it enables creativity and also let everybody have a chance to do what they need to do.
When would you actually say, the two of you, like when did all of this happen? And to one note to that, I mean, what I think is like very interesting is also that, like some people might think, like, okay, it's like why, like somehow no code is kind of, like, is it really complementary to code? But the funny thing is, right, it comes from coders, right? And I think like people in that space, right, they are pushing it. So maybe in that context, the two of you just give us a little bit of how you experienced the beginning, right? The beginning of this inspiring industry, so to say.
So if I begin, for me, no code is more about people. That's usually what I say. And yeah, software development has been with us for many decades, and it will be there. So there is there's no way of thinking that software development is going to disappear. I think no-code, low-code solutions or approach, together with software development, they will both take their parts in creating future technologies. But when it comes to no-code or low-code solutions, It is a way that it's some kind of a toolkit approach. So we have pre-built components where we can reuse them, whether this is for creating a simple form to capture information from public or from your clients, whether it's a complex business process, end-to-end process, being able to create these solutions really a lot faster and quicker and easier comparing to software development has a lot of benefits. And these tools, usually they provide us a drag and drop type of approach where we can create our interfaces, put them together and build a business application, a process we are looking for, especially in our own space. And this comes with a lot of advantages. And lately we are seeing more and more software developers as well being more interested in this area, because rather than creating everything from scratch, they can now speed up the life cycle of creation of softwares, and they can focus more on user experience rather than creating the same things over and over again. Personally, my experience was this: when I was working in different places, I was using the similar methods, similar classes when I was coding, and getting the null pointer exceptions every time you're trying to fix something. It's not really too easy to manage. So having a way to speed these up. And one thing that I think we should remember, business software, or sometimes any software we build, we create, they all come with a shelf life. So this can be 4 years, 5 years, maybe more, but they all come with a certain shelf life, and we have to maintain them. We have to make changes together with the business requirements of all market changes that come in place. So having a way of, having an agile way of maintaining these systems, being able to deliver them to market faster, has a lot of advantages in terms of cost, in terms of resources, and in terms of creating productivity. And as Claudia mentioned, innovation in people.
Yeah, especially if you are a founder without a technical background, which I definitely count myself into. And then obviously if you have great ideas, but then you don't know how to develop it, and then you stop because you don't know, okay, for example, how am I building it? Or I need a technical co-founder, or I need to invest a lot of money in order to just get to an MVP. And then it turns out it was like a waste of time and money.
Absolutely. Especially if I continue, for founders, I see a couple of paths that they can use this type of approach. So one would be creating the product, the idea, using an existing no-code platform. That's one path. They can speed the market delivery. The other would be having an ambition and thinking that they would like to act like $1 million business from day one. So they can use a platform such as ours or anything that's available in the market to create applications for their own operations. This could be, simple hiring new employees, to managing your invoices, to managing your product, or managing your projects. All of these kind of processes, you might be using Excel sheets or some other solutions that you're not able to access the data, have a proper reporting or analysis of your operations, of your business that you're doing. So there are many paths that I see founders can use this type of solutions for themselves.
That's great. And for example, when I want to start building an app, what do you think, like how long can it, or would it take me when I use a no-code tool for that? Or how long should it take me? Maybe that's a better question.
Yeah. I suppose this depends on the app that you are hoping to build, what you want to achieve. So if you're talking about a simple form, there are many solutions available in the market that you can use, from really free versions of many different platforms you can use to create a simple app. But if you're looking to create a business process, or a simple process even, but you need to connect to a data source, or you need to have multiple business personas involved in that process, you want to create something end-to-end, then you need a proper no-code or low-code platform. And typically what we have seen from our experience, you might speed up at least 10 times the time if you went ahead and decided to go with a software development approach rather than using an easy to use no-code or low-code solution, you might spend 10 times more time than this approach.
Yeah. Let me just ask, sorry, because there was one question I think which is totally related in the chat, right? So Bea asked, like, what would be, in your opinion, the best low-code site to create an app?
Low-code site?
Yeah, probably she means like a platform, or generally like maybe from Claudia.
If you want to create a app, for example,
yeah.
Bubble, that comes to mind, but like maybe just elaborate about your, like, which one would you choose?
It depends on whether it's web app or mobile app first. And also what's the content of the app, whether it's like financial app that needs fast transaction and lots of volume, or it's just like a marketplace that everybody just create an account to create stuff. So it depends on the spec of the app nature. And but in general, if you just want a prototype, I think Bubble is good enough for web app. I mean, mobile web you can also show it on mobile. So it's good to show something if you are trying to validate your idea. From my point of view, Bubble is good.
Some other comparable tools, Derya, that you know, apart from Bubble? Because Bubble, yeah, I think this is also a solution I looked into, but maybe there are also some others.
There are others. Again, it will depend on what we want to achieve. So if it's going to be a simple form, Google Apps or Google Forms or AppSheet, you can build more. You can use our platform as well, but it will depend on what we want to achieve. Is it going to be something complex, or is it going to be something simple? Maybe giving an example might help. So if I think about as a startup, what would I need from the beginning? I think once you start having clients, you will need a system. You will need some kind of a system where you can manage your invoices or manage your sales order or potential customers coming into your pipeline. So of course, there are lots of CRM solutions, there are lots of invoicing solutions, but as a startup, you don't want to go in there. They might be expensive and they might be complex. So you need something simple, and you don't want to create these on an Excel and export and send to your client, because you're going to lose the data. You won't see your monthly revenue that's coming in. So in a case like that, you can use a no-code platform, drag and drop fields into a form, and make sure that it calculates the values, etc., without the need for coding, and create these applications. Usually they come with a dashboard where you can monitor, where you can see the progress. So an application like this, you can build it in a day.
And what would be your, just the decision making? Because obviously there are more and more no-code tools, platforms popping up everywhere, but the sophistication, obviously it still varies. And then you start building something with one tool, and then it turns out doesn't really work, or it's not just like what I expected it to work, or then you already went out to market and tested things, and then the whole experience with clients and doesn't really work out that way. And also maybe following up on that, because Tiffany also asked that, what would be the best practice that in that way, if you choose now a no-code tool to point out into the whole future scalability?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this question comes a lot often. I think we should trial the systems. First we need to know what we are looking for. Then we should go out and trial system. And there is a lot of noise in the market. Absolutely. There are many options. So trial these systems. And no code doesn't mean no help. So most of them have support. So you might start a trial, you'll see that you're going to get support from them, how to do things. And a lot of support is already available online as well from many providers. I think one thing to look out for would be flexibility. So flexibility, a certain level of flexibility that you can create the systems that you need today, but tomorrow you can go and change them. So they evolve together with your business, your requirements, your whatever you are looking for. And the other thing I think is important for a startup or for a small business is being able to manage these things in a single platform. So there are many systems you might get for certain use cases or certain things you need. But if you could perhaps centralize these in one place, there are advantages in the long term.
I would like to add some technical perspective. I think your answer is super good. And I also want to add some, yeah, as an engineer, I just can't help. I need to add some technical perspective. Yeah, I think on the scalability is a major issue that I consider too. So it's really tough because I heard some founders actually told that the scalability of some no-code tools, I mean those more, it's more like Bubble and yeah, it's just Bubble. Yeah, the Bubble, for example, for Bubble scalability, because they have database in their software, so it do have a bottleneck there, according to some people's perspective. And when I build ChatParse, actually it builds on Bubble. So our handling is that most of the front end and also the user subscription is put into Bubble, but all the other parts that relate to the backend stuff, we put it in. We leave a room that we can immediately move out those things to another server, or maybe some serverless that can be easily done outside of the Bubble. So you use no code to test your idea fast, and it's flexible to change stuff immediately, which is just front end. But for the back end side, try to move them out. I think the earlier to move it out is better at the beginning for the for the no code scalability in the long run.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point that you mentioned, and I think this goes also back in probably also just testing it, and probably at a certain point, right, you also figure out which of the tools also has which limitation, right? And happily, I mean, we also see that like the whole space is just growing immensely, right? So there are like new founders, new startups coming like all the time. What would you say, like, if you look at the whole, you know, like no code space, what are the different areas, right, in which founders position themselves? Obviously, one is, right, like giving a platform, right, giving kind of the tools to build an app. But I also saw, for example, education is another one. So maybe you can just elaborate a bit generally on the whole space.
I have I can't say I research, but I really like learning stuff, and I'm super curious. So about the no-code space, from my observations, it's more, I think the people who produce contents wins the biggest in the no-code movement. And for some courses, or maybe some content subscription, or maybe some know-how, some tutorials, yeah, that's the people that I've seen from Twitter, or maybe on some newsletter, that they seems like they are really doing really good. And for maybe for the no code application side, that maybe for those people who really want to make their own software, it's relatively new. In the I mean, the tools to enable to do these things is relatively new, so they are still building their business up through these tools. But yeah, I think it's very, there are many different kind of no-code people out there, content makers, some app makers, and there are also some designers, something. Yeah, there's all sorts of people, and I think I love to see something like this to happen, that everybody build their own business and don't need a tech co-founder, because it's really tough to get one.
That's true.
I suppose if I may add to that, as I mentioned, so there are a couple of paths for founders, either using a platform existing to create your product, or using it for your own operations, or as Claudia mentioned, creating a software, or creating a SaaS platform that's going to be the next one in the no-code, low-code space, if anyone in the audience is interested to explore this path. Just one thing I would like to add, according to Forrester, 2022, which is next year, the market of no-code and low-code is going to reach to $21 billion just in a year. So there is a massive market. If you have an idea, if you have the will, you know, there is no need to be scared of the competition, because the market is really huge.
Yeah, and even if you consider, because last year when we talked to Blood from Zero Code, and even they provide you like templates if you want to rebuild Airbnb or like the new Twitter. Obviously, you don't need to imitate it, but it's just like imagine, or like even allowing yourself to think big, and whatever you have in mind you want to create, there are tools out there. And I think that is just the beauty of it. And as you totally said, like with building a SaaS software platform or like a service model, and do you see like, or do you have any other industries or areas where you see a lot of potential, where you think, okay, if somebody would apply no code because it just like helps them to go as fast as possible to market? Do you see like focus areas?
I don't see exact focus areas, or I don't see this as a disruption either, or zero-sum game. I think it is a massive opportunity. I see no code as a massive opportunity for people to transform the way they do business, or they do their daily task, whatever it is. The opportunities are limitless, and being able to give this kind of ability to people, regardless of their being technical, being, having programming skills or not, is huge. It's really empowering, and there's a lot can be done in this space. Just to think of it, rather than going to software development and creating things that take years and months and big teams, big resources. On the other side, being able to create these systems really sometimes even overnight. We've seen some of our clients creating solutions to manage their challenges due to the unfortunate COVID pandemic. Overnight, they come up with solutions to make sure that they can address these challenges. Is really amazing. And this could be any industry. Some of the industries, I know they have been impacted really badly in the last year. And hopefully when we get out of this, they're going to see a lot more movement and changes in the market. And if they can prepare themselves now for what's coming in a way that they adopt technology, the new trends that are coming, making sure that management teams or IT teams are open to this kind of new approaches, I think it's very valuable in the long term again, yeah.
And are you able to share any like use cases or clients? Obviously, you don't need to name any names, but just like how you like the whole Kianda helps them, and like just a bit more practical, because still for some people, especially like from the startup community, everyone is very tech savvy, software engineers, typical Silicon Valley model. So I think it's literally a whole new world, right? That you're talking about now here, which is
absolutely
amazing.
Yes, I can share, no problem. And we have lots of public case studies as well. So we are in the business operations space. So whether they are internal operations or external operations. So creating business applications. Some examples I can give. One of our clients during COVID, unfortunately, they had to cancel their concerts, and they had to return thousands of tickets. And they built an app that connects to SAP, that connects to SharePoint overnight, that gathers the information from a public form from client and puts this information into the Kianda system, and then talks to different existing data systems, IT systems they have, and makes sure that the finance sees it, approves it, and the return happens in the background. Other examples, we have companies in construction area where they would need to do site inspections. Previously, they would have an inspector who goes to a site and using paper forms, answering questions, taking pictures on their phones, go back to the office and upload these images, upload this information, manually typing to the systems they require. So I'm not saying that we are the only platform doing this, but we give the flexibility to business users to create these applications in a bespoke manner, where they can put together these user interfaces and create a business process that can talk to different systems, and if needed, can talk to outside of the organization, and provide them a reporting a dashboard where they can see the reporting and analysis of the process itself. So other examples are employee onboarding, very typical. We all have to go through this, and you might be a small business now, but you're going to grow. So you're going to be hiring people. If you have these processes in place now from the beginning, it will have a lot of advantages when you are growing your team. And rather than going through, again, paper forms or back and forth emails, you're going to lose the data, you're going to lose the information. So all of this can be stored in one location and can be connecting to different systems that you might already have.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, when I learn about it, or like for the first time, I was like, wow, why don't, why is it not mainstream yet? Especially for bigger companies. So I don't know. Also, maybe Claudia, from your perspective, being in Hong Kong, maybe it's just Europe, which is a bit behind. But what do you think is stopping us from, making it really a catalyst for growth, or are we just waiting a few more years?
I think, are we waiting for catalysts for growth? I don't think I don't think the no-code community is waiting. Everybody is moving. So and what was the other question again?
I just said generally, how do you observe it from Hong Kong, right? From what is stopping generally the whole industry from becoming even more mainstream? Because I can just say it from maybe the German perspective, right? Even though Berlin, yes, for sure, we have a no-code space, that's and we see it growing. But what I just see is, for especially when I talk to bigger corporations, right? It's still a completely new topic and a new term. So what do you think is kind of stopping us, or maybe what are kind of maybe the limitations also to make it more common?
Or maybe even the obstacles, right?
Yeah.
What are some obstacles that people no, I don't want to get involved with that no-code thing?
Yes, that's mainly because of the compliance they need to do by the IT department, especially for financial banking industry. So they're very tough compliance that they need to do. And also for the management level, they are risk averse. They don't want to take the blame if there's anything wrong, because if there's anything wrong, they will surely get fired. So under these circumstances, and also the company money is not out from their pocket. So if I am in that position, I will choose the safe way, that is outsource all the whole thing, the whole big package to one vendor, and then just monitor that vendor and make that vendor to do all the compliance, and so that it will make my position secure if I'm in that position, right? So I think that's the main mentality when talking with enterprise, that just try to make everything super secured and don't make everybody in trouble in order to sell them anything. And no-code is yet that we have a compliance thing in the whole no-code flow if we try to connect every different applications together. So maybe that will be the next trend. And if that thing happens, then we can see enterprise using no-code.
I would also be curious then, hopefully afterwards in the Q&A, to hear from Sebastian, from a legal perspective, if he also.
I was also thinking about Sebastian right now, what would you say?
When you hear everything compliance, legal related, oh my God, because last year we had the question about where's the risk, especially if you're now building with Bubble. Obviously Bubble is now a big company, but there's always the risk if you just rely on one provider, and as I mentioned earlier, then you're just trying to use one tool, and then it turns out, they go bankrupt, or they don't exist anymore. Or even we, with mini extensions, we use them, and then somehow it broke. Oh my God, what are we doing now?
That's very true. That's very
nice
true.
that you can also relate to that. Yeah.
I suppose as a small business who might be thinking to start their journey to no code, or big businesses who are opting to use small business like ours as a solution for the no code rather than using IBMs or Oracles, no one gets fired. As Claudia mentioned, it's sometimes really hard for management teams, or because of compliance, and are they picking the right technology, right solution? Is it a small business or a big business? So no one gets fired implementing Microsoft solution or an IBM. But if they implement a small startup, they might be in more trouble. So that's kind of the mentality sometimes we see when we are being approached from potential prospect customers. And other one would be they are concerned because do we have enough support available, or do we have enough team? Whether you go ahead with a big provider or a small one, there is always a chance that you may not get the support you're looking for. But even if you go ahead with a big provider, a large provider, you're still going to be dealing with maybe 2-3 people within that company. So if you go ahead with a small provider, you're going to get more support from the same amount of people. So I don't think it should be a big concern, but this is what we are seeing. And the other question in regards with Europe, or are we a bit behind overall? The large providers in the market are from the US. So most of the large ones, but there are really good names in Europe in this space, and they are really doing great job. But I think we need to focus in terms of investment, in terms of support available in Europe. I think they need to focus more in this area because it's a really growing market. There's a lot of potential here. And we are in a beginning of a new era of how we create technology, and it's going to change forever. So I think Europe needs to invest more in this approach, in these small businesses or big businesses or startups that are in this journey.
Yeah.
I think we even see a trend, luckily, in that, like away from the whole just VC backed, always in the red, more towards more profitable businesses, smaller size cash flow businesses, and even VCs building around that theme. And even like one of our partners in Berlin, like Target Global, and like she also reached out to us and told us, yeah, you know, she invested in Softer, and Mariam, who's like the no-code like rockstar female co-founder. And I think luckily you see a trend is going on, but yeah, I can only confirm what you're saying. As with any industry, it takes time.
Takes time.
Yeah. Scott has also been asking some amazing questions, and one that he asked that kind of relates to that is like, can you give an example of a startup that has been, like quite successful in using no code or low code?
I don't have any example, I think, from the top of my head.
I mean, one thing that comes to mind is Makerpad, maybe, or is it rather more as a community?
I'm not sure. Is it in terms of creating their product on a no code solution, or is it creating a no code platform, providing a platform?
I think rather a startup that has used no code solution.
Used it, okay, yeah. No, I don't have an example really.
Sometimes, but I think this is also, in my opinion, sometimes the interesting part, because that you can't differentiate anymore who actually built it with a, like with a real software, or like with a, or who built it. I mean, obviously for some features, yes, for sure you can see the difference. But I think like some of the programs, I think also Bubble is quite advanced right now, that it's not so easy to see right now, right? Which startup has been built on a, like with a no-code app, or which has like a real, like software developer background. So,
yeah, absolutely. I suppose it's relatively new as well for many people, and that's why perhaps we don't know. And what we kind of think, how we approach if a startup approaches us to create their product, we approach them as a technology partner. Mm-hmm. So they can build the product they're looking for using the platform. Of course, there is IP and those kind of things, those kind of areas. I'm sure Sebastian can add more to this. That has to be always considered carefully. But we would approach them as a technology partner where they can build the solution they want, and they can take this solution to their clients. So there would be some kind of agreement between the no-code platform provider and a startup who wants to build a solution faster and easier and take it to market using an existing platform.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe also one thing that like we mentioned earlier is like, like just in terms of, okay, it's not only enterprises, but it's also, like founders, I think, where at least I personally wish to, like just bring out or get more people aware of the fact that there is something out there, right? That they can use to easily start, even if it's just, like a startup product itself, right? Even if it's just an idea that I want to test, right? So like from both of you, what would you say, what do you think should be done to actually increase the awareness of like the whole no-code space? Or maybe there are even like some great initiative out there. I mean, there are a lot of education programs, right? And also with Zero Code and MakerPad, but maybe you also have some other ideas on that.
I think it all depends on, everything starts with needs. So everybody actually focus on something and have an attention on something because they have some needs. So I think what actually make no code can have more attention is actually building some good use case on using no code, and those use case fit those people needs. For example, I have written a MakerPad blog about using an AI virtual assistant to help you to answer SMS that you don't want to answer, so that AI actually helps you to ask all the questions and then actually help to categorize the answers and do the automated chat flow. Actually, it's a chatbot, but lives on your SMS. I know it's a little bit too not very it's like hacking your own SMS, but it still works. And I think this kind of interesting use case actually can arouse people's attention that what the thing is actually about and what actually can help the society, because all you want is actually something that build value instead of just something that have a buzz or have a hype in it. And I think Derya have many cool use cases too. So those use cases, if published in the blog, and that will let people know that actually no code is a good stuff.
Yeah.
What I can add to that is there are places that training is available as well. So one place I know that you can get training is Project Management Institute. So they are a global community, and they have started a citizen developer chapter or topic, and it's really full of resources and certifications that you can do, courses you can do. So a lot of things are available. Other areas, so many providers, you would see that they would be publishing their use cases and their resources. They're all available information to get ideas and be inspired to what you want to do. And for a startup, if they have an idea, I suppose it's a lot easier to trial this MVP on a pre-built solution, pre-built application or platform. So you can trial it and see if it works. Perhaps it works, you might want to move it to somewhere else, but it's a really great way to test the market or test if you're actually filling a gap or not. So this is what we are all trying to do, right? So I think it's a good way to make sure that you have the right idea, or you might have a couple of ideas and you can trial them using a no-code platform.
Yeah, that's true. And also one thing to add, so I also tried out, for example, some boot camps. So there are, for example, some boot camps also from MLabs out there, where you are, like a team of 8 people or something, right? So it's a small team and you get started together, like you start with your idea and then you kind of, like on a weekly base, you kind of, like iterate. So this is, I think, also quite a cool experience to just also try out, right? Whether it's a fit or not. So
and especially get the feedback, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you build it on your own, that's cool and it's fun, maybe ideally, but I think it's definitely the best if you just go out, get some feedback from the market or some other founders. I also posted lots of resources in the chat with other communities, even Slack channels where you can share resources, all the best practices, tools. I think it's always worth engaging.
And I really have to say, I think, Derya, that you are completely right in terms of like this space. I mean, as always, yes, for sure, it's about the people, but what I also observed in the space is people are so helpful, maybe because it is so new, like they're always kind of sharing resources. And, like for example, I'm also on lots of forums. I always post, annoying questions, help me out. And then there are people, sending me videos on how to do it. I was like, wow, this guy is like amazing, right? So this is like very nice. And I think you yeah, you always get a lot of support.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's important. And this year we have invested a lot in our training side of the business. So we are partnering with other external trainers as well. So we need to make sure that we have the community available and we have the resources that anyone is looking to create these solutions. Yeah. Because it can be a bit, you might feel a bit lost if you don't have that kind of support. There's a lot of systems available. Sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming to pick the right technology, or if you pick the right technology, you think about how to do solutions or how to create what you're looking to create. So support is really important.
Yeah. Maybe before, obviously, guys, keep posting your questions. We will come back to them like in a second, but maybe just like, obviously we're trying to wrap it up and keep the time in back of mind. But like, obviously we talked about the here and now, and like maybe ideally 5 years into the future, like what would be what does the future of no code look like in your view, like in the best case outcome?
So as I mentioned, I think software development was here, will be here together with us, but it will grow together with no code and no code solutions that are available. And a lot of people have already started their citizen developer journeys. And it's a reality for them going in and building solutions. They are business users, knowledge workers. They are the people who have the knowledge of the requirements of the systems the business needs, and they can go in and create these by themselves now. Of course, together with the support from IT and other teams, and controlled environments are really important points. I think we are gonna overcome these challenges that we see as risks of no-code or low-code implementation, such as security, access, or how we control these and how we start building this. So this is going to become norm slowly, but they will. And we're going to be in a new era of creating technology in a way that we haven't seen before, a lot faster, a lot easier, and more people from different backgrounds will be involved, will be more in digital transformation, driving seat of digital transformation. And this is going to grow more and more, absolutely. And we are going to see this benefiting many organizations, many businesses, startups from any sizes, any industries, adopting these solutions and accelerating their digital transformation journeys.
Hear, hear. Claudia, anything also to add from your side?
Yeah, I've seen it I totally agree. And I want to give my view as a product manager that when I plan products, since I get in touch with no code, when I plan products, I actually thinking components that can push to the no code community, that component by component, instead of building the whole product by myself. It would be like different parts that can be isolated to work with the no code integrations. At the same time, they can all plug in together so that we can use it in a whole product. So that's my mindset change on planning products. So I hope that I think if more product managers and maybe engineers get in touch with no code, they will see it this way too, because it makes much more sense in terms of resource and also promotion and also marketing effort. And so I do foresee many more this kind of small widgets go out to the no-code community because of more engineers' involvement, and to be sure it will be more pushing the no-codes, the whole movement, that everybody can actually build their own stuff in the end.
That sounds great. Maybe, sorry, one last question from my side, two of you. What are actually the milestones for your companies, like for ChatParse.AI and also Kianda? Like, what have you planned for next quarter, or maybe even some bigger projects?
I can start first. ChatParse is actually not much. The development is not in our next 6 months, because we are working on another project. Actually, we got some researcher fund from the government for a new AI model. So we're working on the neural model now, and we have some PhD working on some training data. So I hope that we can plug, get something out and then plug it into the no code space again. And so we are more like, not like ChatParse and then keep building it. We're more like many separated different kind of small no code products that put into the market in the next few years.
I suppose our next milestone is world dominance.
As everyone.
As I was saying at the beginning, we are in the market more than 3 years now. So we are internationally expanding our reach at the moment to different regions of the world. And it's going really well. And currently we are focusing more on the partner side of the business. So finding more partners in Europe, in US, in Australia, or wherever we see an opportunity for us. Partners as in other IT businesses who are working with clients directly, or startups who are helping to create their solutions, become technology partners to us. So that's one of the milestones we are focusing on currently.
And you mentioned you're growing also your team, right? So
yes.
Like if you want to use that opportunity here, you see you have many engaged, interested people listening now. So maybe like, who are you looking, or like, what's the best way, obviously, to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. And we are always looking for people. And nowadays it's so much easier to hire people from different locations as well for remote working. There is no boundaries anymore. We are looking for people in the tech space, in IT space, business analysts, IT consultants with some background in workflow solutions or automation solutions that would fit into us. And we'll be looking for salespeople, pre-sales, and software developers. So we are almost
broad variety.
Sorry?
A huge variety.
Yes, absolutely. So we are building the team. So by the end of this year, we are hoping to get to a triple size of our team. Yeah, absolutely.
That's super cool. Cool. Then shall we open a bit the Q&A, Marijke?
Yeah, I've also seen that Scott posted 2 questions a bit earlier, so I'm not sure whether it's still unanswered, or Scott, also feel free, I'm just reading it, but you can also unmute yourself, add a follow-up question. But he was asking about the no-code space in general, or like the terminology, whether it's something similar to GitHub, and like what's the IP implications of no-code?
So again, I'm going to speak from our own experience. So we are in business operation space. No code, low code itself, they wouldn't be that new terms. So I think there were many other system solutions previously existed that were allowing business users to create some level of logic that they needed, you know, maybe using a bit of expressions or things like that. But of course, in the last year, it has become a massive movement with the things that have changed in the world, and it became something a lot more beneficial for many businesses. And the question, is it something like GitHub? No, it's not. So GitHub, of course, you might think about it in a different way, but from our side is, so there are no-code, low-code systems in the market. Some call themselves no-code, some call themselves low-code, because it still requires some level of coding, some level of developer engagement, perhaps, to create the bespoke solution you might need. Some of them are full no-code or close to no-code because they give you extensive flexibility where you can, you know, you can create really complex solutions with it. Some, again, especially in low-code space, they generate code for you. So there are examples like Mendix or other systems you might see. OutSystems is one of them. By building or creating components you're looking for, it generates the code for developer to go in and speed up the process of creating the full business software they're looking to create. Some, like ours, we don't generate the code. We give you the components for you to put them together, the business logic, the business rules that you're looking to create, sending emails, sending notifications, automating tasks, a bit of RPA, and all of this in a platform where you can put them together and create a user interface, basically, to share these internally or externally within an organization. I hope I answered the question.
If not, Scott, feel free to
Yeah.
to pause. You did perfect.
You did.
Thank you, Scott.
Amazing. And then I've also seen that Tiffany asked also another great question. Do you use automation tools in your no-code platform? But maybe Tiffany, I see you showing up via the camera, which is amazing. Because I'm not sure whether I even understand. Like, is it like for their businesses themselves, or like what automation tools were you referring to?
Yeah, well, I have been trying to, to use the no-code tools like, for example, Bubble or Glide, but I'm seeing that you can integrate it with Zapier, for example, to create like a workflow. So I'm seeing that you can, build everything, with Zapier, well, integrated with Zapier, but it's a lot of tools. And I'm seeing as well, it's a lot of tools, a lot of money that you have to invest. And it's kind of, how you said during this amazing, event, it's like there are too many tools and you have to focus in, what you need, what you have, how you want to grow. So it's kind of overwhelming at the moment, a lot of tools. Well, I was wondering if you guys, Derya and Claudia, you use automations like Zapier or OnLizer, for example, in your business.
So we use our own platform. So our own platform comes with automation itself. So we have our own automation engine where we can automate a lot of things, schedule tasks, or depends on what you're looking for. So what we aim from the beginning when we started, and I understand so well the overwhelming aspect of it, because there are so many tools and you want to achieve different things, and you're using many tools, and it's comes so difficult to maintain them and to understand what you're doing, where you're doing, and how to bring them together. So from the beginning, our goal was to have a single platform that is the layer that the user sees, interacts in a user-friendly way, and then everything everything else happens in the background. It connects to existing systems that you might have to read or write data. But there is one single place where you can create these interfaces and create the business logic that comes with it, and do as much as possible the automation side of the things.
Okay.
If you're using many tools, I think it can be quite difficult to maintain them, or you will always need to integrate many different tools, and that's not going to be the easiest challenge.
Yeah, that's true. That's completely true. Actually, I have a question from Claudia, because I saw that her software used AI, right? There is a software called Pentarium that is like a no-code AI platform that you can use, create your own apps like that. That is a really interesting, but it's challenging application to use. But their core is Microsoft Azure. So when you start with that idea to use AI, how you felt? Because it's no code and AI together is challenging. It's like it's another word.
That's a very good question. And when I heard Azure, I think it's about an AI tools that requires you to train your own AI. So it's just like an interface for you to, so it's like another portal for you to throw in the data, and then it will give you a trained algorithm, which is the AI that tell the stuff. But at the beginning, you still need to do a lot of work in order to make the things work. So what we do actually is just, we skip the whole thing. We don't need anybody to give us data. We don't need everybody to set up anything, or maybe train anything, train the data, no labeling, no nothing. Just use those pre-trained model, which is something that we already we already made the AI that works. No more AI building. So just grab it and then use it. So it's like a canned AI. It's pre-made. So that's what we do, which differentiates from most of the no-code data, because most of them are more like let you to use. It's more not very no code, to be honest. There's still a lot of work there in my mind, but yeah, I think I hope something that is less work for everybody to work on the AI is more appealing for the no code people.
Yeah, I also got a question which is similar to AI from Charmaine. And she's like, I don't understand. I want to understand more about leveraging AI in no-code tools, and how accessible do you guys think that it is in general public, i.e., which means like how easy is the current tool to implement?
Yes, as far as I know, most of the AI no-code tools is still the same thing. I don't see much difference from the. Of course, it's easier for you to train the AI and put the data there, but still it requires a lot of data. So what we do is still skipping the data part and let everybody to use the thing immediately instead of building the AI. And I think AI is a broad topic because this is even the AI definition has lots of arguments. Some people say that if then else, for example, if you see an A is going to be 1, and then you see B, it goes to scenario 2, that some people call it AI too. So it really depends on this definition. But as a software engineer, I think AI means machine learning. So in our logic, for example, when we do coding, we tell the software that A plus B is equal to C, and then 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So there's a logic there. So you when you see this, you do that. And when you see A, you do B, something like that. But in machine learning, it's all about the results. First, you have a lot of data, raw data. You don't know what that means. And then you have all the results of those data. So you use data and results to compute the logic. So that's the machine do it reversely for you. So in that circumstances, as under these situations, so actually most of the business use case, you just need to define your own logic. You don't need the machine learning part to do the heavy loading for you. But in some case, you try to find some hidden correlation or some hidden things that you don't know yet. For example, in medical field, there's many X-rays that about the lungs or maybe the brain tumor, something like that. So all the doctors, the experienced ones, once they saw the X-ray, they know what's happening there. But the junior ones don't know. So there's some logic there, but it's very hidden because when the senior doctors see those X-rays, they're like intuitively say that, okay, this one is has a problem, or maybe that one doesn't have a problem. So there's some logic there, and then the people put all the X-rays, all the pictures, which is the raw data, into the AI, and then all those X-rays already have a result that whether that patient has the has the problem or not. So it's either yes or no, and then so that the machine learning actually computes all millions of these data, and then find out the logic why sometimes it's a yes, sometimes it's a no. And the logic is hidden. I mean, no people can compute it, but it's only understandable by the machine. So it's like a black box. There's a hidden logic there. But actually, that thing works 90-something% on computing whether an X-ray is indicating someone has a problem in the lungs or maybe in the other organs. And so it's super accurate. So AI, in terms of machine learning, it's trying to find some hidden correlation and then make some prediction on that order. And if you talk about normal business scenario, maybe no. But if you're trying to do something which is more, how do I say it? Maybe computer visioning side might have more application on AI rather than just text or maybe just logic.
Cool. Then actually also a bit less technical question. Do you think it is still key for most VC or startup accelerators to have a co-founder or someone from the team with an IT background? And if yes, what would you suggest one could do to overcome this issue? We're currently no one with an IT background. And the question is coming from Arin. Sorry if I pronounce your name not in the correct way. Feel free to unmute yourself and correct me, or if you have anything to add to that question, right?
No, it's perfect. Thank you. Yeah, and that was the question.
Okay, great.
I think as a startup founder, as myself, I think the momentum of a startup is the key. So if there's no tech founder in the team, I think market validation, I mean, you build something similar to a product, but it's not a product itself. So the market validation, you ask every client or every potential customers about your product, but not exactly the product, which is actually just a front of the product. And then if they all say yes, then you already got your momentum. You can tell people that, oh, I have interviewed these clients and they are potential customers, that they are interested already. And that thing actually you can pitch to the tech people, because tech people are very, especially engineers, they're more conservative. You can't just tell them quit your job and then join me. They're more like, they will have lots of negative questions because they're trained that way. They're trained to find out some loopholes or anything that might be a bug in the whole process. They are trained in their career. So the more senior engineers, sometimes they are more negative on the on some proposal. But yeah, you need to give some proof. I mean, these proofs can be used to pitch the tech co-founders, and also can be used to be pitching the investors or maybe for future clients. So I think when the tech co-founder is not there, it's okay at the beginning, because when you have resource, you can eventually overcome this issue. But keep the momentum going is the key, from my perspective.
I absolutely agree with Claudia. To add to that, I've seen a lot of startups without having tech founders. So you might have a really good idea. You can absolutely keep the momentum and do whatever you need to do until you come to a stage that you can hire a CTO or development team. But one thing that works, I've seen startups engaging with outsourcing companies from anywhere in the world and making sure that you have the right agreements in place in terms of IP and other things. But you can get these companies to build the solution you want, at least for the certain period of time, until you get that stage that you can start maintaining or make changes, introducing things yourself. But there's nothing stopping you either going through a path of no code, low code, perhaps building MVPs or a platform yourself, or working with an outsourcing company to help you get up to speed and build the solution to come to it. That comes to the beta stage where you can have full on customer feedback and everything coming with it.
Perfect. Thank you so much to the both of you.
Or one of the co-founders is so keen, who wants to learn about no code, which is like in my case, my better half Arena, who's learning about everything, like, and she's taking care now of the technical part, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, do we actually have any other question? Or I mean, like, I'm sure also if you want to know anything else, Claudia and I think Derya are always, like quite open to just answer your questions. So maybe also let our audience know what is actually the best way to contact you, ladies.
My email is Derya, my first name, at Kianda.com. So you can reach me with anything you might need or any questions you might have after the event, or job applications. Absolutely, we are open to that. Or if you want to learn more opportunities or learn more about our platform, please do get in touch.
And feel free to connect me at LinkedIn. I love being connected at LinkedIn.
And I can agree. I mean, you responded quite quickly. So I was like, probably, Hong Kong time, she won't respond. And then you were like the first one. Like, wow, that's so cool. Yeah.
Absolutely, same here as well. Anyone can connect me on LinkedIn too. Yeah, no problem.
Amazing. Are there any other parting words from your side? Anything that we did not address, that we totally missed out, that you want to give as a shout out to the audience?
Just, I suppose, to wrap up, I think good things are coming. I think we are in a good position, and we have some positivity in the market. We have seen it since last year, and we're going to overcome the challenges that we are facing, and good things are coming. No code, low code is going to open up new opportunities, is going to unleash innovation in people, is going to give more power to people regardless of their technical skills or programming skills. And we are going to see a lot happening in this space, whether it's a startup building a new platform or existing companies changing their games to adapt to this, or all businesses, really large or small businesses, but established businesses, moving away from any paperwork or Excel sheets and making sure that they're adopting digital systems, because we live in a world now, a lot has changed, We can't just walk in the, on the street without having an internet, or we can't see our colleagues in the office for a quick coffee or ask an issue or a report. So digitalization is going to be the main driver of many businesses and many ways that startups are going to generate new ideas and reach the new markets.
Awesome. Well, then, yeah, that sounds like a good wrap. Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you for sharing all your insights. It was very helpful, very insightful, very engaging. Obviously, also, yeah, if you like what you've seen tonight, we do this on a monthly basis. The next event is going to be on June 29th with Finn Age Hensel, which is also like a rock star in the Berlin startup ecosystem. He now built his new cannabis venture, turning it into a European's biggest wellness brand. So that's definitely going to be exciting as well. Also, if you want to keep engaged, follow us on every place on social media, subscribe to the newsletter just to keep up to date when things are happening. Other than that, I already mentioned there, go out, start building things, keep grinding, stay healthy, get vaccinated, and hope to see you the next time.
Yeah, and thank you again, also especially Claudia, for staying awake so long for this event. It's much appreciated. Okay, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
And a good night to all. Goodbye.